Hi everyone. So we're continuing our learning of Mishnah Berachot, chapter 8. We're up to Mishnah Gimel 3. And we're learning about the differences of Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel when it comes to things surrounding the meal. So we talked about with Kiddush, and now we're going to talk about other issues of purity and impurity, Tuma and Tara, that have to do with things that can occur at the meal, and where Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai disagreed on these matters. Okay, Mishnah Gimel. Beit Shammai omrim mikaneach yadav b'mapa umanicha al hashulchan uVeit Hillel omrim ala keset. Okay, Beit Shammai say he wipes his hands with the cloth and then places it on the table, and Beit Hillel says on the cushion. That's where he places the cloth. So what are we talking about? We're talking about after doing netilat yadayim, the washing of the hands, wiping your hand on a cloth, and then they would also in this time they would use that as their napkin for the meal. So we learned about when things have liquid involved, there's further issues of transferring of impurity. So that's what they're concerned about. So you just wiped your hands after doing netilat yadayim on this cloth, and now you're going to have it at the meal. And if somehow that's related to you getting contracting impurity on your hands or on the cloth and then on your hands, then that would be an issue when you're handling food and having a meal. And then maybe you'd have to wash again. You'd have to get up and wash again. So what is the difference of their opinion? So Beit Shammai says you wipe your hands on the cloth and then place it on the table. So Beit Shammai is his starting point would be that the table itself is pure. So there's no issue of the cloth is going to contract impurity because it has leftover moisture in it and then transfer it to your hands and make an issue for your hands. So he wants it there where he knows it's on a place that he knows is pure. That's what's most important to him. And Beit Hillel says on the cushion. So not necessarily a place where you know is pure, but Beit Hillel's concern would be having to do with the food. You don't want to put it on the table because that's where food is, and that's where the greatest issue could be if there is some kind of impurity already contracted and then you're worried about the napkin imparting that onto something. You wouldn't want to put it on a place where it's the most important, as opposed to the slightly lower level of impurity that would be contracted on the hands as opposed to the food. And so he'd rather that potentially happen than something happen with the food, creating bigger problems for yourself. Okay, so these are not the most practical matters, but they're interesting still to see, I think, to learn this because we're learning the Mishnah together, and also because of these debates of Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai and what comes from them and what we can learn from them, even though the specifics of what they're talking about may not be so relevant to us today. Okay, Gimel, we just did Gimel, and now Mishnah Daled. Beit Shammai omrim mechabdin et habayit ve'achar kach notlin layadayim uVeit Hillel omrim notlin layadayim ve'achar kach mechabdin et habayit. Okay, so Beit Shammai say we first sweep the house and afterwards we wash our hands. But Beit Hillel say we first wash our hands and afterward we clean the house. So it says the word bayit. It doesn't necessarily mean the entire house. We're not cleaning the entire house right after our meal, but it means the area in which you ate, the room in which you ate, around where you ate. Maybe they were sitting on the floor, or they got kind of a setup, or even if they're sitting at the table, just the room or the table, having to do with sweep away crumbs in the area in which you ate. That's what we're talking about. And the washing of the hands we're talking about, because the meal was already eaten, has to do with mayim achronim, the washing that happens after the meal. So what is their difference of opinion here about when we wash the hands in relation to when we should clean up after the meal, and what does that have to do with? So the idea that we're really going to be concerned about is that there's a prohibition to ruin, to destroy food, and there's a thought that if and food, what constitutes food, anything over an olive size or greater. So if there's big pieces of food around, and then you wash your mayim achronim, you do your mayim achronim at the table, and let's say you get it on there, you splatter some water, and then you got this food all wet and yucky, then you ruined food. That's the concern that's going on here. So Beit Shammai says we first sweep the house and afterwards we wash our hands to make sure that we're getting rid of anything, and maybe the person who's cleaning up, the Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai have different levels of concern of, are they knowledgeable about this issue? So that's really the essence of their disagreement. Beit Shammai says that we're not trusting that the person maybe who's doing the cleaning will know all of these halachot and will know that they have to get rid of these big chunks of food before you wash because of the concern about the water. And Beit Hillel assumes that it's a more knowledgeable person who's maybe cleaning up. And yeah, so it just has less of a concern of that problem. Interesting to note that of all of the disagreements in this chapter of Mishnah between Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, and we know that much more often we rule the halacha in accordance with the opinion of Beit Hillel. In this entire chapter, this is the only one where we rule like Shammai, like Beit Shammai. The Gemara will tell us that for this matter, we actually should do the cleaning up of the area, making sure that we don't have any large crumbs when you're dealing with these issues of purity and impurity. I'm sorry, this is not about that. That was the last one. But about the destroying of the food, so that we should make sure that our area is clean. There's not big chunks of food that will get destroyed before doing the mayim achronim, the washing before we have benching. Okay, so we'll stop there and we'll continue in the middle of chapter 8 when we resume next Wednesday at 10 a.m. again. Okay, goodbye everyone. Have a good day.